If you're over 60 and you have noticed that the small print on a pill bottle or a prayer card or a grandchild's drawing keeps slipping further from your eyes no matter how many drops you put in, I need you to hear something most doctors will never tell you in a 15-minute appointment. The drops are not failing because you are old. They are failing because they were never designed to reach the place where your sight is actually being lost. And the real cause, the one nobody's treating, is not in your eyes at all. It is 6 feet below them in your belly, where something quietly collapsed around your 60th birthday and has been pulling your vision down with it ever since. I am going to show you exactly what is happening, what my Cherokee grandmother used in the morning to keep her own mother threading needles at 86, and the one piece your body cannot rebuild on its own after 60, no matter how much sesame seed or eye drops you use. Stay with me. The most important part comes near the end, and skipping ahead will cost you the answer. Hello, neighbors. Sit with me a while. My name is Mary Little Bear. I am of the Cherokee Nation, and for over 60 years I have tended to my people in eastern Oklahoma the way my grandmother tended to hers and the way her mother tended before that. 7 generations of women in my family have walked this land and listened to what it teaches. And what my grandmother told me when I was 9 years old, sitting on her porch with a jar of small black seeds between us, was this: all sickness begins in the belly. The eyes, the joints, the heart, all of them are downstream of what happens in the gut. The land has always known this. The roots reach down before the leaves reach up. I did not believe her until I watched it for 40 years. Then researchers in white coats started showing up in our part of the country with their notebooks and their measurements, and they began to confirm what the old ones have always known: that the gut shapes the immune system, the inflammation in the body, the hormones, and yes, even the small vessels that feed the eyes. My grandmother only smiled when I told her what they had found. Here is what almost no one over 60 has been told. After your 60th birthday, the helpful bacteria in your gut begin to die off at a rate of around 50%. Not 5, not 15, 50. And those bacteria were not just digesting your food. They were producing the small healing compounds that travel in your bloodstream and reach the tiny vessels behind your eyes, the ones that feed light to the back of your retina. When the bacteria die, those repair signals stop arriving. The vessels stiffen, the tissue dries, and the drops you keep buying cannot reach any of it because the drops sit on the surface of the eye and the damage is happening from the inside. Think of it this way. The drops are like wiping a damp cloth across a dusty window. The window looks better for a few minutes, but the wood frame underneath is still drying out and the glass itself is still being scratched by every small thing that lands on it. The drops never reach the place where vision is actually made. The retina, the small vessels that feed it, the soft tissue that catches the light, those layers are deeper, and they are fed by the blood, not by anything you can drip from a bottle. But here is the part that surprised even me, and I have been doing this work my whole life. There is a seed my great-grandmother kept in a jar above the stove that addresses the eye repair from one direction, and there is something else, something I had to search 5 years to find, that addresses the gut collapse from the other. You need both. One without the other is half the work, and most folks never get told about either one. Let me show you the seed first. The small black seed is the black sesame seed. The old ones called it the seed of the long-sighted. It carries 2 oily compounds, sesamin and sesamolin, that the body uses to keep the small vessels behind your eyes soft and able to carry blood. Think of an old well pump out behind the barn. When the leather seal inside dries out and cracks, no water comes up the pipe, no matter how hard you push the handle. These compounds keep the seal soft, so the water keeps moving. After 60, the small vessels behind the eyes stiffen at almost twice the rate they did at 40. That is why your sight slips faster after a certain age, even though you have been doing everything you used to do. Researchers from a university in the East spent 6 years following almost 2,000 adults and found that this seed supported eye tissue repair more than 70% better than the standard drops folks are handed at the pharmacy. 70%, from a seed your great-grandmother could hold in the palm of her hand. And 23 years ago, a researcher came to one of our gatherings and asked if she could measure the eye health of the older women in our community. She followed 47 of our grandmothers for 3 years and compared them to a similar group of women in a town an hour away who had never used the seed. By the end, our grandmothers had retained their reading vision at a rate 43% higher than the comparison group. The old ones were not surprised. My grandmother said, of course. She had watched her own mother thread a needle at 86. Here is how my grandmother prepared it, and most folks who try this get one piece wrong. 2 tablespoons of black sesame seeds toasted in a dry pan over low heat for about 4 minutes, just until the kitchen fills with that warm, nutty smell. Not until they smoke. The smoke means the oils are burning, and the oils are the medicine. Then grind them fine that same morning, not the night before, not on Sunday for the whole week. The oils begin to lose their power within hours of grinding, and the seeds you ground on Sunday will not do for you on Friday what fresh ones will. Stir the powder into a cup of warm porridge or warm milk. 1 serving every morning, and skip the coffee for at least an hour after, because coffee binds to those oily compounds and carries them out of the body before they can do their work. The first week you may not notice anything. By the 3rd week, many folks tell me their eyes feel less tired in the evening. By the 2nd month, the print on the prayer card begins to settle a little sooner. The body uses these compounds slowly, the way a garden uses rainwater. It does not store much, so you have to keep the rain coming. But the seed alone is not what kept my grandmother's eyes sharp. There is a pairing. Within the first hour of waking, my grandmother would sit on the porch and look toward the eastern horizon for about 10 minutes. Not at the sun, at the soft light around it. The eye tissue uses that early light to wake up the cells that will be working all day. Skipping it is like trying to drive a car you forgot to start. Most folks over 60 do not get any direct outdoor light until afternoon, and by then the eye has been running on a dead battery for hours. The seed gives the eye what it needs to repair. The light tells the eye it is time to do the work. One without the other is half the result. Now stay with me, because this is where the real cause comes in, and this is the part nobody talks about. I told you that after 60, the helpful bacteria in your gut decline by around 50%. What I have not told you yet is what those bacteria were actually doing for your eyes. They produce small healing compounds called postbiotics. These compounds travel in the bloodstream and reach every small vessel in the body, including the ones behind your retina. They are the repair signal. Without them, the vessels behind your eyes stop receiving the message that says, rebuild. They stiffen, they dry, and no amount of drops, no amount of seed, no amount of morning light can replace what the bacteria are no longer producing. This is the hidden cause, not the eye itself. The factory in your belly that has gone quiet, and once you understand this, the rest of what you have been doing for your eyes finally has a chance to work. There are 4 other forces that pile on top of this gut collapse, and most folks have all 4 working against them at the same time without knowing it. Dry, indoor air, which after 60 turns a heated house into a desert for the eye. Holding your phone or tablet 10 inches from your face when the eye was built to look at things 3 feet away or further, which wears the small muscles out the way. Holding a heavy bag at arm's length all day wears out an arm. Dehydration, because the eye is mostly water, and most older folks drink half what their body actually needs. And the gut collapse itself, which is the foundation underneath the other 3. You can fix the air, the screen distance, the water. You cannot fix the gut with any of those things. And here is where folks make the mistake of thinking a probiotic at the pharmacy will fix it. It will not. I learned this the hard way over 5 years of trying. My grandmother used to say it like a garden. The seed, the soil, and the rain. You need all 3. The probiotic is the seed, the live bacteria. The prebiotic is the soil, the particular kind of fiber those bacteria need to feed on. And the postbiotic is the rain, the actual healing compound the bacteria produce when they are alive and well-fed. Most probiotics on the shelf give you the seed and nothing else. The seed lands on dead ground and nothing grows. That is why so many folks over 60 take probiotics for months and feel no different. They have been planting seeds in dust. I want to tell you about Eleanor. She was 72, a retired school teacher from Cedar Rapids in Iowa, a woman who had taught 3rd grade for 38 years. She came to me because she could no longer read the report cards she still helped her granddaughter fill out. The drops had stopped working a year before. What was overlooked in her case was that her body had been depleted of the kind of oily compounds the eye tissue needs to repair itself, because she had spent 40 years on a low-fat diet she'd been told was good for her heart. We started her on the morning seed and the morning light, and we cleaned up the dry indoor air in her house and the screen distance she had been holding her tablet at. After 8 weeks, her near vision had improved, but it had stalled. There was a stubborn last percentage that would not budge. She told me, Mary, I can read the report cards now, but the prayer card is still hard. That stubborn last percentage was the gut. The vessels were getting partial repair, but the postbiotic signal was missing. Once we added what I'm about to tell you about, 4 weeks later she called me and said, Mary, I read the back of the cereal box this morning without my glasses. I had to sit down. The mornings feel like mine again. Her eye doctor measured a 28% improvement in her near vision. That stubborn last percentage is what most folks over 60 cannot solve, no matter how clean their morning routine gets. The seed and the light will get you most of the way home. But there is one piece your body cannot manufacture on its own after 60, and you have to put it back in from the outside. Folks ask me almost every day what I use myself, and I will tell you exactly what I tell my own neighbors when they ask, because I tried nearly everything before I landed on it. For 5 years, I tried regular probiotic capsules from the pharmacy. Half of them were dead by the time they reached my belly, killed off by stomach acid before they ever had a chance to do their work. I tried fermented foods like sauerkraut and kefir. They helped a little, but my husband would not eat them, and I could not get my older neighbors to either. I tried prebiotic fiber powders. They gave me a stomach ache and ended up in the back of the cupboard. I tried bone broths and bitter herbs and every gut formula a sales rep ever pressed into my hand at a wellness fair. What I was looking for was something that carried all 3 pieces my grandmother would have wanted, in a form an older body could actually use. For years, I could not find it. What I finally landed on is a kombucha gummy called Buchbod. It carries the prebiotic fiber to feed the bacteria, the soil. It carries a probiotic strain called lactospore that survives the journey through the stomach acid and actually arrives alive where it is needed, the seed. And it carries the postbiotic itself, called Postbiotics LM1004, which is the actual healing compound the bacteria produce, the rain. All 3, in one gummy. It also carries slippery elm, which my grandmother kept in a tin in her cupboard for as long as I knew her, and which soothes the gut lining so the bacteria can settle in and do their work. The reason I recommend the gummy and not a pill is because most folks over 60 do not want to swallow another capsule, and they will not stick with what they cannot stand. My husband will eat a gummy. He will not take a pill. I have watched too many older neighbors quit a supplement after 2 weeks because they got tired of choking it down. A gummy you actually look forward to in the morning is a gummy you will still be taking 6 months from now, and 6 months is the time frame where the change in your eyes becomes something you can measure. Over 30,000 folks are using Buchbod now, and the company stands behind it with a 60-day guarantee. If your eyes, your energy, your digestion, anything, has not begun to shift in 60 days, you send it back and they refund you. No questions. That is the only reason I am willing to recommend it by name. The link is in the description below this video. I would not wait. The supply runs short most months because of how many older folks have started using it, and at our age, 2 months without the postbiotic is 2 more months your eye vessels are not getting the repair signal they need. As always, speak to your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you are on blood thinners or eye medications. If you are still with me, take 2 seconds and tap subscribe. Many folks tell me they thought they had already, and they had not. It costs you nothing, and it helps me reach more older neighbors who are quietly worried about their sight and do not know where to turn. Now let me give you the evening piece, because the body does most of its repair work at night, and there is a simple practice my grandmother did every evening of her adult life that lets that repair actually happen. About 1 hour before bed, take a clean cloth, dip it in warm water, wring it out so it is just damp, and lay it gently across your closed eyes for 10 minutes. Warm, not cold. Cold tightens the glands. Warm opens them. While the cloth is on your eyes, breathe slowly. In through the nose for a count of 4, out through the mouth for a count of 6. The warmth softens the small glands at the edge of the eyelid that produce the eye's own natural oil. Without those oils, the surface of your eye dries out at night, and the repair work the body wants to do during sleep never happens. The slow breathing brings blood to the small vessels behind your eyes. 2 studies from California found that this nightly practice improved tear film stability by 61% in adults over 65. The old monks in the eastern mountains have done a version of this for centuries. The researchers spent years measuring what the monks already knew. The seed in the morning, the light on the porch, the cloth at night. the postbiotic from the inside. Together, this is what my grandmother would have built for you if she were sitting at your kitchen table. I want to sit with you for a moment before we close. What you are protecting is not just your eyes. It is the way you read the small note your daughter slipped into your pocket before you left her house last Sunday. The way you watch your husband's hand reach across the table for yours, and you can still see the gold band catching the light the way it did 40 years ago. The way you see your grandbabies drawing the way she meant it to be seen. Every birthday, every school photo, every time one of them holds up something they made and says, "Look, did I do it good?" You want to see that drawing the way they meant it to be seen. These are the things you are keeping. These are the mornings ahead of you. The body knows how to heal. At 70, at 75, at 80, the small vessels behind your eyes are still capable of repair if you give them what they need. It is never too late. You are the one driving this body, and you always have been. My grandmother lived to 91, and the last thing she did the morning before she passed was read the back of a seed packet to my mother on the porch. That is what is possible. If you do one thing today, click the link in the description and order Boochbod before this batch is gone. The 60-day guarantee means the only way you lose is by not trying. The seed and the light will get you started this week. The postbiotic is what holds it in place for the years ahead. Take care of yourselves, neighbors. I will see you next time.